Welcome to Different Facets of Happiness. I'm your host, Jackie Denise. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Albert Bramante. Albert is a psychologist, certified hypnotherapist, and master coach who has spent years helping people break free from self doubt, imposter syndrome, and the mental scripts that hold them back. He's also the founder of Bramante Artists, blending his background in psychology with his passion for the creative arts. In this episode, Albert shares how reframing rejection, shifting our mindset, and embracing authenticity can unlock deeper joy and fulfillment. Get ready for an inspiring conversation on happiness, resilience, and the power of rewiring and rewriting your own story. Albert Bramante up next. So, Albert, welcome to Different Facets of Happiness. How are you?
I'm well, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, and I'm happy that you're here. And thank you again for joining.
Of course.
So Albert, just to start, you've worn many hats from, psychologist, talent agent, performance coach. If you had to describe your journey, not as a resume, but as a story, what would be the opening scene and what would that look like?
I'm glad you asked that because I could go all over the place. But I would definitely say I'm more of a connector. So I help people reach their goals and their dreams come true, whether it's finding a dream role for an actor or even just imparting knowledge as a psychology professor to students or just helping people get out of their own way sometimes.
Oh, okay. And how do you do that? And actually, I had a, let me just go to my second question, then we can talk about the how because it's so
Sure.
intriguing already. So, and one thing I've read that you said that most people don't fear failure, they fear success. So, can you unpack that idea with an example from your work? And maybe that
Sure.
into the first question as well.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about fear of success is most people have no knowledge of that, consciously at least, where it's like, because you ask everybody who's aspiring to do something, of course they want to be successful consciously. However, on the subconscious level, there's a variety there. There's the fear of change. Big thing is, as human beings, we don't like change. Even though it's a constant thing that's gonna be guaranteed in life is we're gonna have to change and
And
adapt.
that's, yeah, and that's across all industries. Yes.
Do not like change, so it's not necessarily the success that's scary, but the aftermath. Your identity may change, your responsibilities may change are gonna change, your relationships may change too, and that's a big one. So, I work with actors primarily, as an agent, my job day-to-day job is to find them gigs.
Yeah.
And find them employment opportunities. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. But a lot of actors sometimes are wrapped up in the identity of I'm a struggling actor, I'm a starving artist, and I'm a broke actor or a broke actress. Even though consciously they may not admit it, but changing the identity to being successful or to be a working actor can be a bit scary. It can also mean that your social circles may change. You may lose friends, you may lose colleagues. So a lot of times it's that fear of losing people if you become successful. So what really prompted me to start studying this, because as I was going for my PhD in psychology, I was launching my agency at that time, and I was noticing a lot of actors were self-sabotaging. And what I mean by self-sabotaging would they would not show up for auditions, they would not, be late or be unprepared. And you would think, any actor would be jumping on the opportunity to audition.
Yes. Yeah.
You would think that, or you would also think that an actor would kill to get that opportunity. Why were they refusing it? Or why were they not taking it seriously? So I knew it wasn't that. I knew they were taking it seriously, but something else was going on here. So it came up with fear. And a lot of it could be fear of getting that. And my one incident that really kind of solidified this was, I had a client that represented when I was starting out. She very enthusiastic actress, had a great look, edgy, and was getting called in a lot. And then one audition that she had received was for a Nickelodeon project, and it was a series regular audition in our community. That's pretty huge
Yeah.
to get, and that, it's kind of a life-changing role because you'd be the face of this new series.
Right.
get the audition, give her the sides, the script, and all that. We're all set. An hour before the audition comes in, I see a call from private number. Now, I don't really answer calls on my cell that are private orientated, so I let it go to voicemail. I click open the voicemail, and it was from her, and she's like, very curt, "I can't do this." Didn't even offer an explanation. I kept calling her, kept getting sent to voicemail.
So she had a great opportunity, which could have been a life-altering event. What do you think created that fear? Was it self-sabotage?
It could have been like, "This is getting too real now," maybe. Because sometimes, and I've noticed this in other industries too, sometimes when people are very close to getting something, their brain sends danger signals for some reason. Danger, 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 which is helpful in certain contexts, not in this one, not in this context, of course,
Yes.
because it helps us survive. Anything that's a bit scary, our brain sends danger signals to our body.
Would you say that's one of the biggest mindset traps that we walk into ourselves?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I mean by getting in our own way, which I said kind of earlier, because fear is a big factor that, again, useful, at times, not in this context. It's not useful. I never got to speak to her afterwards, unfortunately. I could only guess, and I can only speculate as far as what was going on. I mean, I didn't know her too well, like our personal life too well, outside of, the chit chat of being like an agent and client. So I can't specifically, again, 100% tell you or tell anybody this is what was going on. I can only guess.
Right.
And that it just became too real because afterwards she just deleted her website. It was like that just went in. Now, she could have had other obstacles in her life. I'm not sure. That's something that may have just prevented her from just, "I can't act anymore."
So, if someone listening to the show and realizes that we are speaking about them, what could they do to get over this fear and to
Well
embrace success and even imposter syndrome?
well, I would say the first thing is congratulations for even, acknowledging that that's a possibility, because most of the time it's not. See, when our brain will talk us out of things very easily. It's very easy to do that. This is not really worth my time. I don't feel so good. And then we might not actually feel too good. Our brain will send signal like to your body being tired right now or being, not motivated. So the important thing is to kind of take a step above and say, what's really going on here? Am I really tired, or am I just a little scared of going in that direction? Because it's very easy to talk ourselves out of things,
Yes.
and it's extremely easy. I can't tell you how easy it is
Yeah.
to talk us out of opportunities that can really be beneficial to us. So maybe taking a step back, saying, "Okay, we're gonna do this, but we'll walk slowly." And you can even talk to your fear and say, "Thank you for looking out for me, but this is an opportunity, and I will work. I will keep myself safe, but I need to pursue this." I need to see this at least through to the next step.
Well,
So that's the first thing too, is just acknowledge that it may consciously feel like it's something, point A, but
yeah.
there might be another point B that might not be the real culprit here. And that could be again the fear of the identity change, the imposter syndrome kicking in there, like, oh no, I'm really here. This is really happening right now. And sometimes that can be very scary on a deeper level, because
Yes.
people it's not like you're gonna walk around and say, "Oh, no, I'm scared that this is really happening." But, again, it could be other signals can come in and saying how maybe to run, that fight or flight mode, okay, run instead of maybe you should be running, but not in the direction it's telling you to run,
Right.
like, towards it instead.
But it's amazing that these are things that people actually want. And when it comes right down to that point, they walk away from it.
Mhm.
That fascinates me. But you know what? Let's just pivot for a second because in your book, Rise Above the Script, you talk about rewiring self doubt. What's the first wire people should cut out?
This is gonna be a little hard to hear, and a little hard to process, but you may have to whittle down your social circle,
And what does
and
that mean? Cutting out your friends, some family members? What does that mean exactly?
That's exactly that, and it not a and it may be if it's family, it may be impossible to cut them out completely. But friends, associates, yes, you should. If they're bringing you down by always talking negatively, you bring up this opportunity and they shoot it down, realize that they're often projecting their own insecurities onto you, and it has nothing to do with you. Another story, I had lunch with an actress about 9 years ago I was working with,
Yeah.
and she needed advice because her boyfriend at the time was always shooting down every acting achievement that she was going to or had an real audition, was kind of talking her out of it and talking into getting like a real job
Yeah.
in a sense. And what she wanted, but, she was kind of like not necessarily looking for advice, but kind of like what to do in a sense. And I just simply said, I said, "What if it has nothing to do with you?" Because her thing was like, "How can I get him to be supportive?" I'm like, maybe that's not possible because he might be scared that if you get, cast in these big projects, that you may leave him and you may find that, he's not, in his mind, even on a subconscious level in his mind. So the one thing that we all should be is that we're not responsible for other people's insecurity.
Yes. Yes.
And it's hard because as actors, especially, are empaths. So you do care. It's easy it's hard to say that. That's why I said it's a little tough to hear, but you're not responsible for somebody else's insecurity.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where it's like, okay, maybe we need to cut ties. Now, I'm not sure what happened or what specifically, but I know like several months later they were broken up. So I don't know if that was that or what the circumstances around that breakup were. But I think that in a situation like that, when you're wondering, well, how can I get the other person to support me? You may not be asking the right question. The right question could be, why are they threatened by this thing? And sometimes our family is that way too. Our family is supposed to support us and they're
Yes.
supposed to love us. And I'm sure they do in their own way love you, but they also may be threatened by your success or look at your success as, oh, she's too good for or he's too good for us now. Look
Yes.
at him, look at her, thinking that she's all high. And you'll hear that a lot sometimes. Maybe not even hear it, but get treated in that way that it implies that you're too good enough for us now.
Yes. Yes.
And now you're thinking, of course, because we're loving people. It's like, well, am I doing something wrong? Should I be doing this? And it's no, you're not. It's them, and it's a form of of gaslighting to some extent. Whether even if it's not intentional, it's still a gaslighting thing where it's like you start to think like you're the problem because you're ambitious. Your ambition is not the problem, of course, in reality. It's so the important thing is the first step is to rewire is to get a better group, get a better peer group. Start hanging out and even if it's virtually with people that are going to build you up.
Right.
Accountability groups, other network, other entrepreneurs and other actors, as long as they're success orientated. Because another thing I found is negativity is very contagious. So if you're around other actors that are complaining and moaning about the industry, about how tough it is, then that's going to rub off on you. And now you're going to be negative
Yes.
and it's going to rub off on you. And now you're going to start thinking, well, this industry sucks, this industry stinks, and you hear that a lot.
Yep.
And that's not helpful. So you want to be successful, you want to start rewiring, start hanging out with people that will elevate you. And one of my mentors has a quote that I love, which is like, hang out with people that will celebrate you, not tolerate you.
Yes. That's a good quote. I like that.
Yeah.
It's true. So it's about building up that confidence and you talk about taking action. What's a micro action that someone could try this week to start building?
Well, it would really determine about specifically what you're trying to build. So, as if you're a business owner, Go to a networking event. If you're even if it's a virtual event, do something where it's gonna be like, if you need to read a book, take a
Yeah.
course, something that will just move you from point A to point B. Because and I was listening to one of your previous micro episodes on manifestation and motivation, and a
Yes.
lot of times people sit there and say, "I need motivation. No, let me correct you on that. You have to create that momentum. So, then it'll build. You'll find that when you create it. If you're gonna sit there in your wake up and lay in bed, scroll on social media, "I need motivation," you're not gonna find it.
Yes. And that's so
You're
easy
gonna
to do every day, right?
100%, it's the easiest, most comfortable thing to do. So, the important thing to do is to take a small action. Now, I'm not talking about large actions because that may be scary. And then, of course, being that scared, you're not gonna do it. So, small actions, read a book, go to a networking event, go live on social media, go to a Toastmaster, do a presentation, something. Do something that will say, "Okay, I'm moving one step closer to your goal." If you're a writer, write a chapter for your book.
Well, can you share then your personal experience with how you struggled with fear of success and what you did to overcome it?
It's one of those, like I remember those commercials from the '80s and '90s with the hair club for men, and it was like, "I'm not only the president, I'm also a client." So, that's me here. I'm comfortable talking about this to others, but I come from experience. So, for years, I wanted to write a book. This is what, Rise Above the Strip became.
Yeah.
So, I did my doctoral dissertation on self-defeating behavior in performing artists, which is a foundation for Rise Above the Strip. So, sitting on something that I was encouraged even when I was in school finishing up my doctorate, this should be published. So, for many years, I was tell people, "Yeah, I'm gonna write a book on my dissertation. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book." And then I started in 2020. I
Mhm.
started, writing. I have Google Docs open. I have Microsoft Word open. I'd write a page, read it, and be like, this is horrible." I didn't say horrible. I said, I'm just keeping it rated G.
Yeah.
So you kinda can guess
Yeah.
what I was gonna say.
I can
So
go.
I Yeah, we can go there. So I would hit delete and then be back at my blank page again. And then it was like, "I can't do this. Well, who am I to write a book? Nobody's gonna take me seriously." And I'm like, "Hello, imposter syndrome. How are you?" So, I just kept putting in a back burner. "I'm too busy. I'm this, I'm that. I'm running a company. I'm teaching. I'm." And then I heard a statistic back in 2023 that only 1% of people who say they wanna write a book actually do. I mean, it may not be that low of a number, but I do know that it's much lower, people who actually write a book, than versus people who say they wanna write a book and never do.
Is the reason why because of what you said earlier,
100%. I'm not qualified enough.
yeah,
No one's gonna like it. People are gonna trash it.
right.
And it just became a point where I was like, "I gotta do this because I'm not getting any younger, and I don't wanna be have a regret when it's too late that I didn't do this." And I had a book under me I didn't do. So, the one thing that I did was, well, number 1, I made a commitment, and I made not a thing, "Well, someday I'm gonna do this." I actually made a commitment where I'm like, because in 2023 in my industry, we had a couple of strikes. We had the Writers Guild strike and the
Yes.
Screen
Yeah,
Actors Guild
remember.
strike.
Yes.
So, that meant, in a kind of a good and bad way, good way, I had a lot of free time.
Yeah.
So, why not there's no excuse now. I can't say I'm too busy.
Right.
So, I made a commitment, and I said, "I'm gonna write for 2 hours a day." And I have my dissertation, I have the outline, I have everything I wanna do. I'm just gonna write. And another tip that I've learned about especially for any writers that are listening, is to edit later. A lot of us like to self-edit while we're writing. So, and this is what one of my mentors, who's a published author, had said, "You just write first, edit later when you're done. Just
Just
do it
get
like a
your
brain dump."
ideas
Yeah.
down. Yeah, on
We
paper.
call it brain dump. So just
Yeah.
dump everything out. And
Yeah.
that's what I did for 2 hours a day, and then I had a manuscript. And, of course, I'm not gonna delete that now. So I then went and had a professional editor. I hired actually 2 rounds of professional editing, and that's a bit humbling in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie,
Can imagine, yes, yeah.
because, when I got like 10 days later, my first editor came back to me and said, "Okay, we're done. Here's a draft of my changes," and, of course, I opened up the document, and I'm telling you, every page had red markups on the side, and I freaked out, and I closed it. I was like, and then I said to myself, "Okay, calm down, and let's just read it page by page." And it wasn't nearly as dangerous as I thought it was gonna be. I was like, "Oh, this is really helpful. This is helpful, and this is helpful too." So I went page by page, implemented the changes. That took me about 3 or 4 days to do. Sent it back for another round, got a little bit more changes. Said, "Okay, now I'm gonna go to another editor too.
Yeah,
Just get another opinion."
right.
Did that, offer same thing, a lot of red markups. I changed it before, then next thing you know, I had a fully polished manuscript. I said, "Okay," take it into formatting, get a cover design, upload it to KDP, Amazon Kindle, and
Yeah,
done.
and just
And
like that.
just like that, now 2 weeks a week later, I get a thing in the mail from Amazon, it's a proof of my book.
Yeah,
It is surreal because I loved reading books, I'm a book lover. But it is a really amazing feeling to hold a book in your hands with your name on it.
of course,
I'm
of
like,
course.
and that just, I was like, best feeling in the world.
So, would you say to our listeners that one of the biggest takeaways from this is the commitment that you made to yourself to do it and start?
Yes, starting is the biggest thing. Don't say someday, or someday I'm gonna do this, because I'll talk to people, like, even in groups where I'm like, "Yeah, I wrote a book, I'm out," and I'll hear, "Oh, I really wish I could write a book someday." And I'm like, "Nope, I don't wanna, what are you gonna do today? What's the book about?" "Well, it's about my." "Okay, good." So even if it's a memoir, start, when's the first chapter gonna be written? And you start holding yourself accountable that way. Don't someday, put it on your calendar, and even if you can't exactly meet the exact goal that you set on your calendar, but the important thing is you made it real, and it's not a conceptual idea anymore.
So, and just to help everyone again listening, if you could put one message on a billboard for every ambitious person to see, what would it say?
Mm, I would say just do it, take action.
Okay, so we're gonna borrow Nike Sloan.
Yeah, well, maybe take action. I wouldn't say just, but I would say the but I will tell you that I love Nike's slogan.
So
But
do I.
that's the important thing, is just go with it, because don't think too much, because a lot of us overthink. Another thing is, a quote that I kinda like to say is, not to say you're not ready is a lie. Not
Why?
ready is,
Why is that a lie?
because very often, especially if you're dealing with imposter syndrome and self-doubt, will you ever be ready?
No.
Right. You'll never be ready. I need this extra course to do this. I need extra training. I need this extra little thing to move forward. Then I'll be ready. Oh no, then you get it, and it's like, then, maybe I need that, and then I'll be ready. No,
Are we also saying that because it's that fear of judgment for other people who are judging us and knowing and may speculate, oh, they're not ready?
it's our inner critic talking, and because even like what was going in my head was like, oh, people are not going to like the book. They're going to trash it. They're gonna see right through me. Again, the imposter syndrome. I'm a fraud. I'm not this. And what I can tell you is that, from my experience just in life and from talking to so many other people, what the reality will happen and what our fears are really different. And even if the worst case scenario happens, it is not nearly as bad as we're imagining it could be. So even if a book did flop, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. I mean, I got a lot of, received, a good number of positive reviews on my book.
Yes.
So, I'm okay. That fear was unfounded, but I never would have known that if I didn't publish.
Right.
Because I'll hear people say, "Well, I'll never make enough money if I'm not gonna write a book. I won't make any money." I'm like, "Well, I can tell you one thing, you won't make any money if you don't write the book."
You have
So,
right. You have
you
to
have to do something. You have to do something if you wanna be successful, move the needle.
right. And not have
And
any regret, like you said.
Yeah, because, I spend a lot of time, I especially over the years on social media, looking at people's posts for especially at the end of the year, end of our calendar year. "Oh, I hope next year's gonna be a better year for me, and, I want my life to be better." And then the year ends, and they're the same place that they were last year. And sometimes I like to challenge them. I'm like, "So what are you gonna do that's gonna make sure that you're gonna have a better life?" Because if you sit back and think, "I'm gonna have a better life," not gonna happen. And I do believe, like, and I do like the law of attraction and all that manifestation thing, but I often feel that it's missing some information.
Yes. Yeah.
And the information that's missing is the action. Because if I can sit here and manifest abundance till, day in and day out, but if I'm not doing anything to help me get to that point, I'm not gonna be my abundance is not gonna happen.
Right. A check for 5 million is not going to just, drop on your lap.
Yeah, it would be nice if it did, and I'd welcome it, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Albert, just a couple of questions left. On your best days, what brings you genuine happiness?
The best day is just having good conversations with people, enjoying my time with people. That's the main thing.
Well, then, how do you define that? How do you define happiness in your life? And how does it help shape your mindset?
Well, happiness is doing what I love and getting to do what I love every day. It's not about the number of people I have, and this is a lot different because when I was younger, a vulnerable moment here, I struggled a lot with people pleasing. I wanted people to like me. That was, like, my main priority. That's how I defined happiness, was to have a lot of friends and a lot of love, people love me, and it wasn't until I hit 40 that I was like, "No, this is not working," and my priorities have shifted. I don't necessarily measure as metrics or anything, but it's more of, am I doing what I love? Am I doing getting to talk to people, have conversation with people all around the world, and that's why, like, I enjoy being on podcasts because it helps me meet so many good people around the world and collaborate with so many people around the world that I normally would not have done if I didn't take action.
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing about that. That's, I would think, probably maybe going back to what you said earlier, maybe just take action instead of just do it. Just take action.
Yeah.
And that's gonna look differently for everybody. But the important thing is to do something that's gonna help you get to the next level.
You said about being a people pleaser when you were younger. I can't believe that you were because you have such a magnetic personality.
Well,
You don't need.
well, that was what a lot of people were telling me too. Like, why are you trying so hard? And I think it was just from like when I was 16 and up, I would say to like maybe my mid to late 30s, it was all about I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to appreciate me, and I tried too hard. And with anything, when you try too hard, it will have the counter effects. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So, and when I first this happened, one of the roughest lessons I've learned in work was this idea around people pleasing. When I first was hired, I started teaching in 2003 at a community college, and I love it. I still teach to this day part time. From 2003 to 2008, I was an adjunct, and then in 2008, a position opened up, and I was hired full time, tenure track, assistant professor, really great opportunity. I was young, and I wanted to really please my bosses,
Mhm.
and so I became your yes man.
Mm,
You asked me to do anything without question, I did it.
yeah.
So, what happened was for some reason, we had a teaching shortage at this college. So they needed a lot of psychology classes to be filled by professors. So they started asking me for extra classes, and I said, "Yes, yes, 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 I'll do it." Before you know it, now the average teaching load for full time is 5 classes a semester where I was teaching. I had, semesters where I was teaching up to 12.
Wow.
Plus,
Wow.
I was teaching winter sessions, summer sessions, because they asked me to. I wanted to do it. I was like, "Yes." and be on committees, be on this and that. And other people would joke around, and I would joke around too. I just need my toothbrush and to change of clothes. So I might be living at the college.
Yeah. Yeah.
So two things that happened. One, in the middle of all this, I got complete burnout, and I'm talking
Yes.
physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything. I was just completely, by the 3rd year, done, which didn't help anybody. In the middle of this, we had a change in administration, a complete change in administration. I got external people in, so these people didn't really know me. And it came time for at the end of my 4th year, which is the critical year in a tenure track position from year 4 to year 5, is whether or not we're gonna get tenure. So they sent a memo to every department saying, "You need to cut 2 people from the load, like, we're not gonna be renewing contracts and 2 faculty members for a department
Right.
because
So
we wanna
extra
cut it
days. Yeah.
costs."
Of
And so that's where that okay, got it. So you can probably guess in my department who was one of them to go.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Of
So I was devastated.
course. Especially after everything that you did.
Yeah, and I won awards. I won, teaching awards from both, the college and from other organizations. I had accolades from my peers and other faculty members, and at least 50 sets of positive evaluation from students, applauding me in a classroom. Of course, I tried to pursue action, try to get some and my lawyer, who was also in the educational law, had told me that, unfortunately, when it comes down to tenure and non-tenure, the administration always has the right. And he told me this, "Now you could fight it. It will take a couple of years in court, and you may win, but you're gonna be the public enemy number 1 when you return back,
Right.
and your life is gonna be miserable there because everybody's not gonna like you." So, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna move on," now, and it was really tough
Yeah.
because I gave a lot, and meant a lot. But I think a lesson that I learned, and I don't know if I should have said no a lot more and put my foot down, whether that would have changed, I'm not sure. I can't speculate because I'm not, that time's over. And I did a lot of research on people pleasing, and very often a lot of accounts that I've read were it backfired on almost every account that I've read,
Yeah.
where it got the counter effect.
Yes.
So I think that had a lot because people ask me now, "What do you think happened?" I think that's a major effect of what might have happened was a lot of times when you try too hard to please people, they lose respect for you.
They do. And I think the
Yeah.
lesson though too, though, Albert, is put yourself first. Always
Yes.
put yourself first. And don't think of, you know what, yes, you're a people pleaser, but you can't please anyone but yourself. Please.
Right. Mhm. That's exactly right. And there's nothing wrong with saying no. And even now, I teach part-time. I go in, I teach my classes, and I'm done. And I'm also with my students a lot. Still the same professor I was, still very supportive, but I'm very when I first started, I gave students my cell number, like, "Please just give me a call when you need me." Now, I just give my work email, my student email. I'm like, "You need me, I'm here. Otherwise, I'll see you next class."
Yes.
And I still get the same, outstanding evaluations. I'm more of a boundaries are very important.
You know what?
And
Someone told me before, you're only as good as yesterday, Jackie. And that stayed with me for years.
yeah,
Right? Because I wouldn't say I was a people pleaser, but I used to have very, very high expectations of myself. I still do, but to the point where it was almost insane. And got to the point of burnout, like you did. Burnout, mentally exhausted. And I just thought, to what avail? Why am I doing this? Right? I know what I'm capable of. I have to start believing in myself and setting the boundaries for the best of me. Because if you're in order to be the best, and for them to get the best of me, I had to set the boundary to say, I can't do this outside of this time. And it's okay, like you said, to say, no, sorry, no, thank you,
yeah, of course.
and move on. Absolutely. And, hearing what you said today, I know a lot of people, it will be a mindset change and realizing, you know what, based on what Albert said today, he's right. I have to put myself first, shift
Mm,
my mindset, and take action to achieve the goals and make that commitment. that I
Yes.
want to make sure I'm committed and achieve those goals and not have those regrets the next year and not be doing the same thing
And
the
then this
next
next year.
right?
Yeah.
Even if it's a micro step to in
Of
the
course. I'll add, like, even when you start to speak up and say no, another mistake I think some people make is they apologize or they get too apologetic. I'm sorry, but I can't do this. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't say that. Just say, this is not going to work for me right now. And you can even offer, like even if your boss asks you to stay late
yeah.
and say, no, I'm not able to do this, but I can come back next week and I'll make sure to help you with this on Monday or tomorrow when I come back in.
So true. So, so true.
Don't apologize because a lot of times if you start appearing like you're submissive, they're gonna talk you or
Yeah.
guilt trip you into it, and don't let them guilt trip you. Just, "No, I'm not able to do that," because that's outside of your scope of agreement.
Yes, exactly. That confidence in yourself to do that. A lot of people need to start doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, Albert, that's a great way to end the show. And thank you so much for speaking your truth and, expressing to people it's important to put yourself first. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right. But you're right.
mm,
That flags that being submissive when you say, unfortunately, I'm sorry. I've made that mistake myself, but I won't make that mistake after today's show. That's for sure. So, Albert, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
it was a pleasure. Thank you again, Jackie, for having me.
Thank you. A heartfelt thank you to Dr. Albert Bramante for sharing his wisdom and reminding us that happiness is not about perfection, but about courage. Courage to challenge old scripts, embrace who we are, and create meaning in our daily lives. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone who might benefit from Albert's message. Until next time, I'm Jackie Denise, wishing you peace, joy, and all the different facets of happiness. Take care.